You know the names: Musk, Bezos, Zuckerberg, but what about the parts of their lives you never hear about? From strange habits to secret deals, we're unpacking what you didn't know about the world's wealthiest tech moguls. And it's not what you'd expect. Elon Musk doesn't run companies, he runs on chaos. He's not the type of billionaire with a 10-person calendar team or a meditation room filled with incense. Musk's idea of balance is working 120-hour weeks, sleeping on the floor of Tesla's Gigafactory in Nevada, and taking 5-minute meetings where you either deliver results or get cut off mid-sentence. If you need more than 5 minutes, you don't know what you're doing, he once told an engineer. That engineer later became a VP, but only after proving he could survive the madness. His entire day is carved into brutal time blocks. Musk reportedly splits his week between Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, and The Boring Company, sometimes squeezing in multiple site visits across different states and continents in a single day. One time, while finalizing rocket launch details in Boca Chica, he was also micromanaging dashboard updates at Tesla via late-night emails to dozens of engineers. The man doesn't delegate so much as he overwhelms the system. But maybe his most chaotic habit is his unfiltered obsession with Twitter, or now X, the platform he literally bought just to run his mouth without filters. His tweets have moved markets, launched meme coins, caused SEC investigations, and at one point, wiped $14 billion off Tesla's stock in a single afternoon. Even his own investors begged him to log off, especially after tweeting he was taking Tesla private at $420 a share, an infamous move that nearly cost him his CEO role. Yet in the background, Musk is always building. Beyond the rockets and EVs, he's quietly backing tech that sounds like it belongs in a science fiction novel. Neuralink wants to plant chips in human brains to merge with AI, and he claims the tech could help people with paralysis walk again. The Boring Company, which started as a joke about traffic, now has working underground tunnels in Las Vegas, complete with Tesla shuttles and glowing lights. He even proposed a Hyperloop system for ultra-fast travel between cities, an idea that governments initially laughed at until prototypes started popping up across the world. And here's the thing, he often breaks rules to make it happen. Whether it's ignoring local regulations during construction or pushing software updates without full approval, Musk operates on the belief that it's better to ask forgiveness than permission, if he asks at all. To him, red tape is just a speed bump, not a barrier. If Musk is the wild card, our next mogul is all about structure, until you learn what he's really planning behind the scenes. There was a time when Jeff Bezos blended in. He was the bookish founder of Amazon, bald before it was cool, obsessed with customer reviews and same-day delivery. But since stepping down as CEO in 2021, Bezos has reinvented himself, less spreadsheet nerd, more Bond villain with a gym membership, a super yacht, and a space program. The transformation wasn't just cosmetic. After passing the torch to Andy Jassy, Bezos shifted his energy toward Blue Origin, his private space company that he launched way back in 2000, before most people knew what private spaceflight even was. And while SpaceX gets more headlines, Bezos' rivalry with Elon Musk is much deeper than rockets. These two don't just want to beat each other in orbit, they want to define the future of human life beyond Earth. Bezos has called space colonization Plan B for humanity, and once outlined a vision of floating space cities with artificial gravity and entire ecosystems inside. Blue Origin's motto is Grand Team Ferociter, Latin for step by step, ferociously. And behind the scenes, Bezos is investing in long-term infrastructure like orbital fuel depots and lunar landers, while Musk aims for Mars. It's not just science, it's ego at the edge of the atmosphere. But here on Earth, Bezos has other obsessions. One of the most private is his intense interest in anti-aging and life extension. He's poured millions into startups like Altos Labs, a biotech firm aiming to reverse aging through cellular reprogramming. Another, Unity Biotechnology, is developing therapies to delay age-related diseases. For Bezos, outliving the average billionaire might be as important as outlaunching one. He's also building a legacy in real estate, quietly and aggressively, Bezos now owns one of the most expansive homes in Washington, D.C., a 27,000 square foot former textile museum that he's turned into a mega residence. Inside, ballrooms, multiple kitchens, and rumored underground tech installations. He also snapped up land in Beverly Hills, a massive estate in Maui, and a series of properties across New York, including adjacent condos he combined into one sprawling penthouse above Madison Square Garden. This isn't trophy buying, it's empire building, address by address. And yet, for all the wealth and workouts, Bezos rarely speaks without scripting. He posts curated gym selfies, gives the occasional keynote, and lets his actions speak louder than his quarterly letters ever did. He's quieter, more deliberate until he steps into a rocket. While Bezos looks to space, another mogul is reshaping reality right here on Earth, sometimes without anyone noticing. Mark Zuckerberg doesn't just want to connect people anymore, he wants to digitize your reality. What started as a Harvard side project has become a global tech empire. And now in 2025, Zuckerberg isn't chasing likes, he's chasing immersion. With Meta's multi-billion-dollar pivot into virtual and augmented reality, he's taking his fortune on a world where headsets replace phones and avatars replace selfies. The metaverse might still feel clunky to most people, but Zuckerberg sees it as inevitable. Meta has funneled over $50 billion into reality labs, building everything from virtual workspaces to biometric wearables designed to read your brain signals and translate them into actions. They're also experimenting with emotion tracking AI, technology that reads facial expressions and body cues to adjust how your digital avatar reacts in real time. The goal? A fully immersive digital life right down to how you blink and breathe. Yet for all his futuristic ambition, Zuckerberg himself lives like it's still 2011. He still wears the same gray hoodie and jeans combo, eats mostly plain food, and lives in the same Palo Alto home he bought over a decade ago. His inner circle says he finds routine calming, one less thing to optimize. Even his wedding to Priscilla Chan was held in their backyard, disguised as a graduation party to throw off paparazzi. But Zuckerberg's low-key aesthetic doesn't extend to his real estate footprint. In Hawaii, he's quietly bought up more than 1,500 acres of land on the island of Kauai, starting with a $100 million purchase in 2014 and expanding year after year. The properties include oceanfront views, historic plantation land, and a private compound complete with a doomsday-style bunker. Locals haven't been thrilled. He's been accused of using shell companies to acquire parcels, and in 2016, filed lawsuits against Hawaiian families with ancestral claims to small portions of the land. Though he later dropped the suits, the move sparked national backlash and raised questions about tech billionaires colonizing paradise. Even so, Zuckerberg hasn't slowed down. In 2025, Meta is preparing to launch a new AR interface designed to sync with your brain's electrical signals. No headset, no hand controllers, just thought-to-screen interaction. It sounds like science fiction, but to Zuckerberg, it's just the next status update. Zuckerberg wants to digitize your world, but the next mogul is focused on how to own all the tools behind it. Larry Page helped build the modern internet and then disappeared from it. After stepping down as CEO of Alphabet in 2019, Page slowly retreated from public life with the precision of someone escaping orbit. No flashy interviews, no conference keynotes, just silence, yachts, and the occasional blurry paparazzi photo from an island no one can quite identify. In 2025, Page is still worth over $100 billion, but good luck finding him. According to insiders, he spends most of his time in Fiji's private islands, including Tavarua and Namuto, where he quietly arrived during the pandemic on a private jet, reportedly securing a residency deal with local officials. He's also rumored to use a 200-foot super yacht as a mobile workspace, equipped with labs, servers, and a heliport. But don't mistake his absence for inactivity. While the spotlight's on other tech moguls, Page is pouring money into startups that feel like ideas from a future that hasn't caught up yet. He's a major backer of Kitty Hawk and Opener, two companies trying to crack the code in personal flying vehicles. The goal? urban mobility without roads. Think electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft that turn gridlock into airspace. He's also deep into radical healthcare ventures, particularly longevity science and AI-driven diagnostics. One firm he's invested in, Calico, aims to solve death. Yes, literally, by targeting the biology of aging. Page has never confirmed his level of involvement publicly, but his fingerprints are all over its funding structure and advisory board. He's quietly connected to labs experimenting with age-reversing gene therapy and custom organ regeneration. And then there's Google itself. Even though he's not running the day-to-day, insiders say Page still exerts strategic influence through back channels. His name doesn't appear on meeting invites, but senior executives reportedly consult him before making high-stakes AI decisions. When Google DeepMind unveiled its latest version of Gemini in 2024, some speculated the launching timing, and its pivot to multi-modal human-like reasoning had Page's subtle push behind it. His absence not only makes the myth stronger. While others tweet, speak, and dominate headlines, Larry Page is shaping the future in silence. No press tours, no TED Talks, just deep pockets, deep tech, and a deep desire not to be seen. If Page lives in hiding, our next mogul lives in headlines. But what moves, most people miss. There was a time when Jack Ma could walk into any room in China and be treated like royalty. The former English teacher turned tech tycoon built Alibaba from a scrappy B2B website into a trillion-yuan behemoth, with interests spanning e-commerce, logistics, cloud computing, and finance. He was charismatic, bold, and unusually public for a Chinese billionaire, delivering speeches in English, appearing on global panels, and even performing pop songs at company events. Jack Ma wasn't just rich, he was a celebrity, a symbol, and then he flew a little too close to the sun. In October 2020, Ma gave a now famous speech at a financial summit in Shanghai. He called China's banking regulators outdated, likening their policies to old men running the airport with walkie-talkies. It was a direct shot at the system. Days later, Chinese authorities pulled the plug of Ant Group's IPO, a record-breaking $37 billion deal that would have made Ant the most valuable fintech company in the world. It was cancelled overnight and then Ma vanished. For 3 months, there was nothing. No public appearances, no online activity, not a single photo. Global media speculated wildly. Was he detained, under house arrest? Was this China's version of a corporate execution, quite clean and chilling? Even his own employees didn't know where he was. When he finally reappeared in January 2021, it wasn't in Beijing or Davos, but in a pre-recorded video message for rural teachers in China. The message was bland. The man was subdued, the fire was gone or at least buried. Since that moment, Jack Ma has been in a strategic retreat. Not defeated, but absolutely reshaped. He resigned from key leadership roles, stepped away from board duties, and stopped appearing at international conferences. Instead of running Ant or Alibaba, he redirected his attention to safe sectors: education, agriculture, and rural revitalization. He started showing up at farms and village schools, donating to teacher training programs, and launching philanthropy arms with a local-first approach. His investments followed the same philosophy. No more grand fintech experiments, no more cross-border tech acquisitions. Instead, Ma's money now flows into smart farming, food supply chains, logistics infrastructure, and education tech. Sectors with real impact but little chance of ruffling political feathers. One notable move was his investment in an AI-driven crop management startup in Southeast Asia. Another was funding a scholarship program for rural students entering STEM fields. He also began transferring assets quietly. Reports surfaced of trusts and holdings being moved to Singapore-based family offices. His personal stake in Alibaba shrank. He bought property in Japan and Europe but avoided flaunting it. When he was spotted in Tokyo in 2022, he was eating sushi in a simple local restaurant, dressed in plain clothes, walking without security. The man who once lit up Alibaba's anniversary parties in a rock star costume now moved with the caution of someone who knew the cost of attention. But he hasn't disappeared entirely. In 2024, he visited his old school in Hangzhou, speaking to students about the importance of resilience and humility. He said little about business, nothing about politics, but his message was clear. You can fall hard and still get up differently. Jack Ma's legacy is now being rewritten, not through IPOs or product launches, but through subtle influence, quiet rebuilding, and a keen understanding of how power really works in China. He no longer leads an empire, but he still shapes one from the shadows. And in doing so, he may have secured something more lasting than wealth: survival. Some build quietly, some rebuild after falling. But our final mogul built it all, then gave most of it away. Bill Gates used to be known as the man who crushed competitors with his mind and a keyboard. In the 90s, he ran Microsoft like a fortress, ruthless, competitive, and allergic to compromise. But the Bill Gates we see today is something else entirely: philanthropist, climate investor, and unlikely public health leader. The journey between those two images hasn't been smooth. It's been full of reinvention, control, and a few cracks in the mask. Gates stepped away from full-time work at Microsoft in 2008, but he didn't step into retirement. He threw himself into the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, one of the most powerful philanthropic organizations on Earth. With billions in funding, it's helped vaccinate hundreds of millions, fight malaria, and transform education systems in developing nations. By 2020, Gates had become something else entirely: the quiet architect behind global health solutions. During the COVID-19 pandemic, his interviews were streamed more than those of world leaders. He wasn't just wealthy, he was trusted. Then came the personal shakeup. In 2021, Bill and Melinda French Gates announced their divorce after 27 years of marriage. The public was shocked, but what followed was even more revealing. Reports surfaced of Bill's past workplace behavior, including a known affair with a Microsoft employee and multiple instances of questionable relationships within company circles. There was no scandal in the legal sense, but the cracks had formed. The image of the all-knowing billionaire with spotless ethics now had shadows. Despite the headlines, Gates didn't disappear. In fact, he leaned harder into his second act, especially when it came to the planet. He's now one of the largest private farmland owners in the US, with over 275,000 acres across multiple states. While some speculate he's prepping for a food security future, Gates insists it's about sustainable farming and environmental reform. He's also investing in nuclear energy startups, next-gen battery systems, and carbon capture tech. His book, How to Avoid a Climate Disaster, became a bestseller not just because of who wrote it, but because of what it revealed: his obsession with long-term systems thinking. Which of these tech mogul stories surprised you the most? Leave your thoughts in the comments.